For sharpening stones, actually, it's like this. Uh, this is sharpen 1K, and I also have my Naniwa 800 grit over here. So basically, these will be the two stones you need for just only maintenance. But if you want to have a little bit more than the usual sharpening, then that's why you got 3000. I don't have a Sharpen 5000, but I have another, is a Swag Hero 6000. Anything that say 3000 and above, we call it polishing stone, but it's more of a translation error, because I won't call it error, it's a choice of translation. Polishing, yes, but in the Japanese context, they usually call it finishing stones. That's why when you mention polishing, right, it's a very vague term of how you can do it on your sharpening, because one, you can use polishing as your end sharpening, and also you can use polishing as how you do a mirror surface on your knife. So for polishing, the Western term of polishing, right, is actually using something like this, called a polishing cream. So you're using this to actually do polishing on your knife, apply in full, and polish the whole thing. That is what they meant for polishing. But for sharpening, if you're meant for finishing stones, it's just sharpening as per usual on your stone. So why you need two stones instead of a single one, I just give you a quick guidance on how you can use them. And also a leather strop. This is a leather strop. It doesn't really matter which brand you get. Also a buffing compound is optional. I have two buffing compound. One is actually you can use the auto sew. This one is fine. Another I had is a liquid mineral oil with diamond compound. This is what I use for the buffing. And for buffing on the leather strop, right, it's more on when you do the deburring, it's breaking off the metal of the very end of the knife. That's why when you do the breaking, right, the buffing compound can actually help you round up the thing a little bit further. So that's how it can work. I will just give you a quick demo. And just a paper show you how 1000 actually looks like. So I think I might need to sharpen this knife. I haven't been sharpening for a while. Okay lah, still usable, but a bit rough lah, as you can hear. So okay, so this is the sharpness of 1000 you can expect. You can still hear the noise. I think that's important. Yeah. Can cut lah, but you hear a little bit of rough noises. Not too bad. It can cut, but usually with Japanese knife, the recommendation will be go higher than 1K. You of course can get 3K or 5K. It's really up to your personal choice. For me, it depends on the stone. if I'm using a Naniwa 3000, right, it actually defeat the purpose of getting a 5000 because this stone is actually good enough. That's why from my Naniwa 3K, usually I'll just jump to 9000. If you want to follow the sharpened ones, you can get 1K sharpened, 5K sharpened, and then you move on to higher like 12,000 if you want. But really, it's a personal choices. If you don't want to spend so much money on sharpening, right, then you don't have to go for that high number of grids. Because the higher you go, usually it will be more and more expensive. And there are plans to be less and less useful because, to be honest, for normal home sharpening, right, there's not really a point to go beyond 3000. Even 5000 is like the stopping point of sharpening already. Of course, if you're going to buy SG2, all these fancy steels, yes, you can go for higher grade, but to be honest, not necessary. And you can notice the sharpening time on higher grades, right? Usually it's very minimal. I don't think I'll do more than a minute on my 3K. And this should be enough. Same paper. It's smoother. And by going for leather strap, it will be even better. And for context, this 9K is only usable for recommend to use on carbon steels. So for stainless steels, I'll never go for this stone. That's why I'm not going to be higher. Actually, for 3K, that is fully sufficient. So yeah, purely depends on your usages. And for polishing again, if you really want to polish the surface of the blade, get sandpapers. And when you use sandpapers, right, just stir a bit, put it on top of the stone. I just imagine this is like your sandpaper lah. Just put on top. You can use a few methods. One, you can use your finger to push. Another way, get a piece of sponge. Then probably you need a bigger surface of sandpaper. Okay, grab it, put it on the knife, and then push it like this. Push it this way. After that, you can use polishing cream, apply. Get something like just a piece of cloth. You should use a piece of cloth. Put it on top also can, and then just rub your knife. Then that will give you the mirror finishing on the knife. So that's why I keep asking you about what is the context of polishing, just to give you an idea how sharpening looks like.